Hi, I'm Sean Fit for Life, and I'm the creator of the Cold Feet podcast. It's a privilege to have you spending your important time watching our podcast today. I want to thank you for coming along and hope you learned something. Now, you must be asking, why an ice bath? Why cold exposure? For three main reasons. Number one, accelerated fat loss. An ice bath can tap into your brown fat tissues and through that help you keep off fat as part of a greater healthy lifestyle in the long term. Number two, mental fortitude, and the reason why I interview everyone here on the show in the ice bath. If you're someone who can sit in the winter for 10 or more minutes in the ice bath, you're an amazing person and I want you on my show. Number three, increased recovery time. While it may not be beneficial to ice immediately after an injury, ice bathing can help as part of a greater recovery regimen. So grab a hot cocoa, stay warm, and enjoy the episode. Nice. All right, let's get some ice going in because there's no way that's warm enough. Go all the way down, all the way in, all the way to your chest.
Why are we doing this again?
Good question. What month is it? December?
Why do we do the ice? What is the Indian?
Well, when you watch the podcast, you hear the Indian. You can even chat about it during the show itself. I would recommend you go all the way to your chest. It will just make life a lot easier. Because once you settle in and your breath gets back to itself, nice and cozy. Sweet. Almost done there?
I don't know if I can take it.
You got 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
I really don't think so.
No? So how about 2 minutes?
I don't think so.
You done already?
Yeah.
Do that. First deep breath. Deep breaths.
I don't think I can.
Deep breaths. Worst case
It's like hypothermia.
Yeah, David did 70 minutes in the game.
David's a real warrior.
He really is. So go on as long as you could, and you get too cold, you'll come out and we'll give you a nice towel. Part of the concept of being in the ice bath is taking deep, controlled breaths. In through your nose, take it to your stomach, and relax. Don't let it be in your chest. Breathe through your stomach, and relax. Okay, a little better now? Chilling? Move your legs around a bit.
I gotta get out.
Already?
Yeah.
You're freezing? You can't do it?
I can't do it.
Okay, so I'll go in, I guess. Sweet. All right, so it's too cold for my good friend.
Yeah.
The Calorie Deficit. Yeah, that's the name. My good friend David. I get to go in instead. Look good. I built up a little tolerance. Just kidding. No one heard that. Okay, cool. So today on the show, we're gonna speak about. I'm gonna introduce myself. My name is Sean Haber. I'm a strength and conditioning coach, and one of the things that we always deal with as coaches is weight loss.
Yeah.
Even athletes, regular dudes, old ladies, old men, the first thing they do is say, I want to lose this gut. I want to lose weight. It doesn't really matter where they're coming from. So instead of me going on about weight loss, I'm going to introduce to the show the one and only David, who had an amazing weight loss journey and took it as a career. I think you just ran a half marathon last week.
Yeah. Now we're training for the marathon.
And how many pounds did you lose?
60 kilos, 120 pounds.
Woo,
6
120
months.
pounds. So I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm going to let David do the talking now. If you can introduce yourself to the camera and,
All right, David from Calorie Deficit.
Second.
There you go.
Breathe
Deep
through your
breath.
stomach.
There you go.
And deep breath. That's it. Chilling.
How do you not go in hypothermia?
I've been doing this every day for over half a year.
Yeah.
And it's cold. I feel it cold, but I train my body to
To not get nervous. Freak out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm definitely cold. I feel the cold. I'm actually chickening out a bit because I'm not all the way into the chest.
Yeah. Is that the Indian? You
But,
gotta go to the chest?
Well, you want to expose as much to your body as possible to the cold.
Ah, right. Because then there's I don't know how to say it. Technically, you get used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, go ahead. Intro.
So, David from caloriedeficit.com, and yeah, my journey is pretty crazy. I worked as a rabbi in yeshiva in the old city of Sfat for basically 20 years, and suffered the yeshiva diet, Talmudic Academy of Learning Torah, biblical studies in the land of Israel, right? And we don't exactly eat so healthy in that environment. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
And my weight ballooned up to about 270 pounds, and it became time to get things under control. And my work was very controversial, and is the opposite of what you're doing. I fantasized about a jacuzzi. And I wanted to really just get into a warm, hot bath, the exact opposite of what we're doing today. and just
Next podcast.
just veg out, like the exact opposite. So I guess I've come full circle. And there was a gym down the street, and they had the facilities, steam room, hot bath, and everything. And then since I'm going to join the gym, I figured I might as well work out. And I was like vegging out on this big beanbag chair in my living room, and started Googling just calories. I mean, just total brainstorm, right? Letting my mind go, and just Googling. What is a calorie? How many calories? Just letting it go until finally, it came down, the essence of what I do on the caloriedeficit.com. The Calorie Deficit fell in my lap.
Right, so let me pause there. Thanks for the intro. Thanks for introducing yourself. I appreciate it. And now we're going to speak about the biggest secret ever. So if you're looking to lose weight, it really boils down to one thing. Take it away.
It truly does. Every diet you've ever heard of, keto, Weight Watchers, Bob's Famous Diet, whatever it is, it's always the same premise. More calories you spend out than what you bring in, right? So if you bring in 2 calories today, chances are you'll lose weight. You'll die of malnutrition. You don't want to do 2 calories a day. I don't think it's very healthy. So the idea is the calorie deficit. Calorie deficit, as it came down that day, was the idea that 3,500 calories is a pound. So then they divide by 7, representing 7 days of the week, is a 500 calorie deficit a day diet. My problem with it was that doesn't make any sense at all. If in my crazy eating, if I'm eating 5,000 calories a day, which I probably was, you're telling me I cut back 500 and I'll lose weight. It's a problem. So the answer is, first of all, you got to get normal. So your 5,000, 4,000's got to become around 2,000. Which the way I teach it is you got to cut out the obvious stuff. You're not going to go out for the whole pizza. Maybe you'll go out for a slice, 2. We're not doing the whole pie. Grandma makes cookies. We don't eat the whole batch. We have 1 or 2. And every time you do that move, you're going to get around 2,000. You can't not. Your friends go out for beer and chips and all that. You don't eat the bag of Doritos. You have an apple.
Can I reflect on that for a second?
Yeah.
What David here is implying is that just by omitting excess junk food, you're already cutting your calories to normal intake. Once you get to that point, then you start having to fine tune some stuff. If you're cutting out the binging on pizza and beer every weekend, you're already automatically cutting out tons of calories, and that's
right. We just add it up. We're gonna go out, me and Sean, for a fictional day. He's gonna eat his apple and banana and healthy food, and I'm gonna do my Doritos, Mountain Dew, 4 slices of pizza. You look at our caloric differences. I'm gonna be well over 3,000. Sean's gonna be, give or take, around 2,000 if he's playing by the rules, give or take. So for me to be like Sean in our little fictitious story, I'm gonna cut out well over 1,000 calories. I'm gonna join him with the apple. I'm gonna join him with the banana. Sean will have a piece of pizza. I'll have 1. I'm not gonna have 4. So now I'm gonna be down to about 2,000, but I'm carrying around 270 pounds still. I've plateaued, and I'm gonna plateau forever. And this is why people get upset.
Can I reflect on the plateau? Can I explain what it is? Because keep in mind, everyone speaks our advanced scientific terms. A plateau is, so let's say you're very, very large, and you cut out all junk food, or most junk food. You will guaranteed lose weight because you're changing your lifestyle to whatever was causing you to gain weight in the first place to less calories per day. Once you cut it out and you lose the weight, your body is now thriving off, let's say, 3,000 calories instead of 4,000. But in order to continue to lose weight, you have to start manipulating your nutrition intake to reduce further, and that's what David here is talking about.
Yeah, my new word, it's my new word I'm throwing in. It's efficiency, right? When you're running, what makes the run better? You become more efficient. So the diet is really an efficiency diet. The first step of efficiency is quit doing the large pizza. It's okay for you where you're at to do 1 or 2 slices. And like Sean's saying, then you're going to acclimate, you'll lose a little bit, but you're going to plateau or not going to lose anymore. Now the real efficiency comes in, right? So now that 500 deficit really kicks in. If you want to really lose the weight, you go from your 2,000 baseline, whatever it is, give or take, and you cut it back to about 1,500. Now the magic happens. The question is, how do we get from 5,000 to 2,000 with the junk food, essentially? And then the real work is 2,000 to 1,500. That takes the effort and the work and the efficiency, right? So Sean's
the number 2,000 comes from assuming you cut all the junk food, so now you're intaking around 2,000 calories a day, and that's like the standard caloric burn for someone works out there.
Average Joe. It's not a real guy.
Couch. Exactly.
Yeah, it's an average guy.
People
John Doe.
like me and David could be burning 3,500 calories a day just through various physical activity. But just the random dude, not so active, that's the number. So in order for him to lose weight, he'll either have to up his caloric expenditure, meaning exercising more, or lower his caloric intake.
Right. And the way I teach it is, since there is no real John Doe. You don't exist, John Doe. So we never know how many calories you're really eating and how many you're really losing. Not to be exact. So if you're going to say it's 500 and that's it, no, you're not, because maybe you miscalculated and you're at 1,700. Were you moving today, right? You don't know how many you're even burning. So the way I teach it is, try to get your calories to 1,500 the best you can, right? And that's going to be when Sean now is going to go out for let's say Sean has a piece of pizza. I'm going to do a little bit more than Sean because Sean doesn't have the weight to lose, but I do. So I'm going to opt for the apple. I'm going to opt for the banana. I mean, Sean's fine. He's going to eat the pizza, but I can't because I'm in a strict deficit, whereas Sean is eating healthy. So Sean may have this or that. I'm not. I'm going to strictly drink water. I call this ninja mode, where we just don't make the mistakes, we don't go backwards. But again, maybe I'm not counting just right, and then I will trick myself into thinking I'm going to lose, but I'm not. So how do we guarantee the loss? This is the other half of what the program I teach, the calorie deficit. Up the BMR, meaning how many calories we burn by existing. If I lay in bed all day, which I had surgery about a little over a year ago, I had a little complication post-obesity, and I was in bed for about 2 weeks, and I gained weight. Not a lot, but I gained weight because I realized my BMR, the amount I burned just by existing, went down about 1,000.
How can one increase his BMR?
That's the question. So even if you're if you're eating, let's say 1,200, which is insanely not healthy. But even if too little.
Right.
But even if I did that in an insane mode and I'm laying in bed all day, I'll still gain weight because you're not burning anything. So the question is, how do I burn? How do I get from completely sedentary in bed all day, which again is a fictitious character, hopefully that's not you laying in bed all day. How do we get you active burning somewhere north of 2,500? Because if I can get you burning 2,500 and an intake of 1,500, last time I checked that's 1,000. So give or take, even if you miscalculated, you're going to be definitely what I call guard the deficit. You're going to protect that 500 zone, you will lose weight. So the question is, how do we do that? Step number one, if you're obese, you need to get out. And one of the things we want to talk about today is walking. And I know I really scoffed at walking. Walking is boring, it doesn't work. Even when I started running, walking is boring, it doesn't work. But on the weekends, I walk because I don't run on purpose on Saturday. Just because it's my rest day, I enjoy breathing, nature, just not effort. And I'm always amazed how tight my abs get, my legs. It's a workout. Don't think it's not. Walking is legit. It's not going to win you a marathon, but that's not the point. The point is, am I sedentary today? If I go walking for 2 hours, am I sedentary? No, you are not. You're burning well over 300, well over 500. If you walk a significant distance, you are burning. The rule of thumb is this. How do you know if you've burned your 2,000 to 2,500 a day? It's a very simple metric. If you can look at yourself and say, I am not sedentary, right? I am not sedentary. I know I'm not. I go out of my way. You're burning. If it's a question, if you have to think, did I move today? Was I really...
And it doesn't count, going from the couch to the fridge.
Yeah, you got to legitimately say, I did something today. Yeah. So even if you're sore from lifting, which it happens, right? We're sore, we're tired, it's a holiday, and we don't always get our lift in, we don't always get our run in. You still, you can't afford psychologically, right? Just philosophically, to lay in bed all day. You got to make sure, responsibly, move every day. Go out for a walk, something, 20 minutes. Just don't be sedentary. Get moving on some level every day.
Thanks for that. I want to add some reflection. First of all, one of the best ways to increase your RMR and BMR is actually strength training.
Yeah.
Because when you resistance train, you're building muscle. And when you build muscle, even if you're sitting on the couch, your body is burning more calories to fuel the engine. Think of, I'm not talking about the cars, but think of one of these gas guzzler cars versus this little hybrid car. The gas guzzler always needs more gas. So too when you have more muscle, your body needs more energy just to maintain it. That's number one. Number two, what David here is speaking about is if someone's very obese and they need to lose weight, so we said first step, cut out the junk food, that's going to make a big difference. Once you start getting leaner, once you start losing more weight, in order to fine-tune stuff, a lot of times it's not so much about eating less, because if you eat too little, you're not going to feel yourself
You should
properly.
actually eat more. When
Right.
you eat healthy, you actually eat more. 'Cause I made a post about this today. Who's actually winning this game? You with your Snickers bar, or me with my half watermelon? Right? Me with my half watermelon. You had like 300 calories or more with your Snickers bar. A little guy. I had a massive chunk for as much or less as you, and I'm full for hours and hours and hours.
Right, because the fiber and the water kind of.
Yeah, so I ate way more than you, and so who's eating more? Me. And you're eating more calories, I'm eating more food.
David's speaking about more what we call volume.
Volume.
Like vegetables, fruits, things that fill you up. But in
Yeah.
general, when you're at healthy weight, you don't need to starve yourself. In fact, you shouldn't even inherently be in a calorie deficit unless you're trying to continue to lose weight. You want to be eating enough food to fuel your adventures and goals. But one of the ways to keep yourself trim and keep yourself lean, as David said, is move.
Yeah.
And that's something I live by. I call it movement snacks.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, it's my active recovery day. I'm not, hitting the gym today. I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna go hiking. I'm gonna take my dog for an hour walk. I'm gonna go do some mobility. I'm gonna go hang on the bar. I'm gonna go move your kettlebell. But if you want to maintain a healthy weight, once you lost the weight already, you have to move daily. And now we're going to speak about walking. Because David actually, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, I'm starting to feel my toes numb a bit, but I think I'm like really, really enjoying this. Like I finally get to be not a hypocrite on my show and sitting wearing my sweater and drinking my coffee. I get to be plunged.
This is how I am. When I was in my weight loss mode, I would sit in the sauna forever with those sweatpants.
And did that help?
Oh yeah.
Well,
water weight, but just the Indian and the thing.
Doing something for your health.
But just being in that heat, Like, so when I'm in my wrestling days in high school, I would lose weight for wrestling, not the best way. But how did I know back then if I lost the weight? I took my Metallica Black album, right, my Walkman back in the day, and listen to side 1, go in the dip in the pool, and then come back for side 2. So when I had to lose weight, I just drew for my wrestling days. So I took my Metallica Black album on my iPod now, in 2020 or whatever it was, 2019, 18, and in the sauna with full sweatpants, sweatshirt, hat, and then the people in the gym are like, what is this freaking guy doing? It's like I'm losing weight.
So word of caution, that's not a healthy way to lose weight.
That's not how you do it.
All it does is lose water weight,
Yeah.
which is only beneficial for wrestlers or weightlifters who are trying to go down a weight class
Or just
or
mental
fighters.
mental toughness.
Yeah, kind of like I think guys have a little more mental toughness.
But I'll tell you what it was. This summer I became a mover because of COVID, and it worked out. Why? Because like on the move, Jerusalem, Israel, 100-degree heat, humidity, no food, no drink. The driver's like, let's go. There's no time to eat. And I'm like, thank God for the sauna. Because now I'm trained to like sweat and work and suffer and not eat and drink at momish work.
Sweet.
So
yeah, go ahead.
So here's the thing with walking. So I'm training now. I did a half marathon last week.
No biggie, just a half marathon,
Yeah, and I realized I got the marathon in me, but my fear. Everyone's got fear. Don't feel bad about your fear. Fears are great. You're gonna have them, and they're always irrational, right? I mean, why did I get out of the jacuzzi here with Sean? Because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of hypothermia, and Sean's realized he's not afraid. Everyone's got their fear.
It's true.
Everyone's got their fear.
Keep in mind, though, speaking of fears, that fear can be built. You can work on it. So sometimes if fear heights, they can slowly approach higher heights. So I'm not afraid of hypothermia, but I have been exposing myself to cold every day, so I can overcome the fear.
Right, and for me, the heat, I can go in a sauna all day. Like I got over the fear. It's not a fear thing for you, right? So my fear is, I remember there's a guy who ran a marathon, a wrestler that I follow on Instagram, and I'm like, man, how in the world are you on your feet moving straight for 4.5 hours? Mm-hmm. How do you move for 4.5 hours? So when I did my half marathon, I saw that I had it in me, and in the end it was 2.5 hours, and I'm like, all right, legit, we ran for 2.5 hours. Not aerobically. My question wasn't aerobically. It used to be, but not now. It's how do you move? So what I did on this weekend, I said to myself, I've never felt moving for 5 hours before. Right? I mean, when I work, I'm moving, but not like going, right? Mm-hmm. So I woke up at 2:30 in the morning because I couldn't sleep, and my wife likes to have me up and about by 8 for the baby. Last time I checked, that's about 5 hours. So I thought, you know what? Let's do it, right? I got my winter clothes on well before the sun was coming up, and I decided to go on a neighborhood hike for 5 hours straight, which ended up being, I measured it after the weekend, it was 20 miles straight. And I felt it. So I felt what it's like to be mobile for 5 straight hours at a very good walking pace. Now, people are going to be quick to criticize and say you can't train for a marathon walking. That's not the point. I wanted to know mentally, at 3.5 hours in, am I saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And I now know what it's like. So I think while I'm training, every Saturday, I want to do this walk just so I know what 3.5 hours feels like, right? Like if you were to get me back in here, which you're not,
you never know.
I want to know.
I'm starting to lose my toes, so I'm going to have to throw them back in.
I want to know, like, what is 30 seconds supposed to feel like, right? Because in the sauna, it was the same thing. What does a minute feel like? What does 5 minutes feel like? And then you get accustomed to it. And that's running 101. You get acclimated, right? So with running, I want to know, what is it like on foot? And that's the goal. So even if I am not doing the marathon, Sean and I were talking about walking, it's just cool to walk that far. It was a nice, very, like you said, meditative, refreshing, a little bit spooky with watching the sun come up, because it's like you start in the middle of the night and then you end up in the middle of the day, it feels like, which is a little weird. But walking was the bomb. I usually walk 2 to 3 hours, but now I upped it to 5.
I think why walking is so great is what I call it's a physical and a mental reset.
Yeah.
When you're walking, it's zero impact, which means you're not running, you're not jogging, there's no, pounding impact in your knees and your ankles, which means that it's not affecting any of your other lifting or other workout sessions for the bad. It's only good. Walking is one of the few things that you can pretty much do indefinitely without it hindering your goals. Now that doesn't mean you can go on a 6-month hike walking 12 hours a day while still trying to be the world's strongest man. That's like extreme strength and extreme endurance. But walking is only good for you, especially, in the modern day and age where we sit so much. Walking is literally passive mobility. You're putting your hip flexor, your glutes back into extension like they should be instead of sitting. It's calming, it's meditative. All your fears, everything you do, walking is always taking you out of the house. It's taking you into nature. It's taking you into an environment where all the stress and all the whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, the grind of the day just kind of disappears. So the more you walk, the better. I personally, I lift heavy in the gym 4 times a week. I play football, I play volleyball, I slackline, who knows what. I try to walk every day at least for half an hour. I try to walk barefoot as well for those benefits. But if you can fit walking in your schedule, you should do it. You do wanna
don't think it's wimpy. It's real. It's so not. It's like you see the old guy walking, you laugh at him. But man, when I'm walking, I feel my core tighten up. Yeah. Even my biceps. After a long walk, I feel my biceps are pumped.
Right.
They're pumped. I come back home on Saturday morning and I'm like, what? No, this is legit. It's real. It's such a toner. It'll tone you. It's mentally. It's not ridiculous at all. Don't knock it.
Also, if you look at walking, it ties back into the calorie deficit. Walking is a fantastic low impact way to burn more calories.
Right.
If I'm going to go on a 2-3 hour walk, that's another few hundred calories I'm burning. Now, obviously, I can negate that by just eating that piece of chocolate cake, but let's say the chocolate cake doesn't exist. I can burn an extra few hundred calories without affecting the rest of my workouts. Like if I were to lift, heavy legs in the gym, and then later in the day I do some heavy sprinting, which will burn a lot more calories than walking, but the recovery will start messing with each other, and I won't be able to recover from the squats as efficient, and I won't be able to recover from the sprints as efficiently. Whereas walking will burn the same calories without affecting me negatively. So the more walking, the better.
Here's the explanation, like what you're saying, but just more emphasizing the problem the viewer has. So I had a client, and we were walking. He was looking for a routine. We went to his house, and he's got a beautiful hill right out his door. I'm like, man, you got it, mate. You got a hill. You don't need more than that. He's like, what are you talking about? It's I can walk this simple. I'm like, yeah, you can walk it simple, but I promise you, every week we come back here, I will make it more and more hard to the point, if I wanted to, I can make you cry on this hill, right? Just by walking. You walk up and down that hill briskly, back and forth, no rest. Get your heart rate well over 130, 140. You will wish you were somewhere else, right? You can really work that hill, and it's going to get your legs going. But here's the issue. You have all your fitness apps, and it'll say, Bob burned 400 calories at the gym today, and Bob ate 2,000 calories of food, and he says, wow, so really I only ate 1,600 a day. No, Bob, you ate 2,000 today. What did Bob do wrong? It's a riddle. Here's what Bob did wrong. Bob was laying in bed all day, every day, burning 1,000 calories, breathing, snoring, and just existing. bodily function, right? Now, Bob has an issue. Bob's got to up that number. You can't lay in bed all day, Bob. So Bob walks to his car. Bob walks to the kitchen. Now his calories are going up little by little, maybe like 1,100, 1,200. But Bob needs to significantly elevate those calories. So guess what Bob does every day? Bob walks for an hour. Now Bob's BMR went from 1,000 to 1,200, somewhere up towards 2,000, right? Because Bob's walking. He's not sedentary. And walking breeds more exercise. Bob will then find more ways to walk. Now, it's a fallacy for Bob to say, now that I'm not sedentary and I'm walking, I'm going to burn those 400 off what I ate. So I ate 1,600 because the 400 that I burned knocked off the food, and I'm walking. And I'm burning well over 2,000. No, Bob, you're even. You took the same number twice. Had you not walked today, you would have burned 1,000 laying in bed. Because you walked today, you burned 2,000. You don't get to use that number twice. I upped my burning by walking, and I burned the food at the same time. No, you didn't. What you did was you elevated from 1,000 to 2,000, and then you ate 2,000. It's a wash. What you did was you reversed weight gain. You want to do weight loss? Walk more. Move more. Go from 2 to 2,500. Refine and make efficient that diet. Bring it down a little bit. That's what I call the fat burning zone. If more efficient calories, more efficient moving, you will lose the weight.
It really ties into my concept of, even though I do work with athletes, even my athletes I encourage to not sit all day. I say, move more and sit less. And that applies to whether you're, an Olympian or you're just a regular dude and dudette. Move more and sitting less is a principle that I feel that both me and David live by. And that's what helps us maintain a healthy weight at all times. We're going to wrap it up. What I do want to say, I want to add on about walking is keep in mind that because walking is so low intensity, like you're not weightlifting heavy, you need to concentrate on other things. You can do multiple things while walking. I normally incorporate barefoot walking, which has numerous benefits, which we've discussed in other podcasts. I also focus on diaphragmatic breathing while I'm walking. David kept speaking about how you feel your core. When you're walking, your body's supposed to be stable. You're not supposed to be like energy leaking, moving from side to side. So by taking deep breaths into your stomach and breathing out, your core can be activated and working the whole time.
Work on efficiency.
Yeah, you can be working on your mobility, landing correctly, walking on your pinky-to landing and pushing off your big toe to develop your intricate feet muscles.
Yeah, basically you can work on it. Like, it's such an opportunity to work on everything.
You could be listening to a podcast while you're walking. You could be walking your dog, spending time with your spouse. Like, walking really is one of the beautiful secrets of life, and everyone should be doing it. I think we're going to wrap up the podcast for today before I freeze before my toes fall off. Anything to add to our audience?
We got to do a podcast from the sauna next time.
Well, we got to do a podcast with you in it. Then we can do a sauna. Thanks for coming on the show, and see you all, and stay fit with Strong Fit for Life and
Calorie Deficit.
Calorie Deficit. Now I get to unfreeze.